Sitting between Carolina brown rice and creamy Reese's peanut butter. Only one left on the shelf. It's another episode of In the Aisle with Dan and Jack.
How we doing?
You have a hat on today, Jack.
Yeah, I wanted to feel pretty.
You look full frat bro right
Yeah.
now. I love it. You look like you're going to play lacrosse after this. It's a good day. We're joined another guest. Hi, Shayne Smith.
Hello.
How are you?
How's it going, guys?
Thanks for joining us in the aisle. I should give credits. I mean, you have one of the most watched dry bar comedy specials.
Yeah.
That's a big credit. You want to give yourself another credit?
I don't know. I'm on Dry Bar Comedy.
Yeah.
I have a podcast called Cowboy Boys.
Hell yeah. Part of the Cowboy
There's
Boys.
a bunch of people who listen to that.
Thanks for joining us in the aisle, man.
Yeah, I'm
this
here.
This is our high-class studio in New York City.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, rent's expensive here, so we decided to podcast on a floor.
Dude,
we gave you the seat.
I'm about it. And then the seat is nice.
Yeah, that is
I mean,
the
really,
seat from
that's
my
luxury.
office.
Yeah, it feels like you guys invested in one good seat as opposed to 3 okay seats.
Well,
Yeah.
now you know where the podcast budget is at.
yeah.
It's got like a back massager built into it.
Truthfully, that's my mom's chair, and she's very unhappy I'm using it.
It's okay.
So, okay. Now I feel guilty.
No,
That's
I'm
all
joking.
right.
I'm joking. I
Okay.
bought it for my office. It was all 35 of my own dollars.
Oh, I knew
Ooh.
I recognized it.
Did you build it?
Yeah, by hand. No, I can't build
Oh,
that.
it's
Man,
woodworking.
I look much more manly than I really am, I think. I don't.
Okay.
I have none of those real qualities of building or woodworking. Is that a quality a man would have?
Woodworking is a quality a man would have.
It's funny though that
I
because-
do a little woodworking.
Do you
Do you?
really?
Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout, so like I know how to do stuff.
Eagle Scout.
Mhm.
What was the difference between that and Boy Scouts?
Boy Scouts leads to Eagle Scout. Eagle Scout is the final rank. If you become an Eagle Scout when you join the military, you get a free rank in the
Oh.
military.
Really?
Yeah.
So can you just start as an Eagle Scout, or you have to put in the years beforehand as a
So
Boy Scout?
Eagle Scout, you go like Cub Scouts, Weeblos, and it works up. And then as a Boy Scout, you earn the right to become an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
And you have to do a big project for the community. Some people do like science experiments or like help build roads or do things. I built a skate park.
You built a skate park?
Mhm.
A whole park?
Yeah. Not by myself, but I was
Okay.
like instrumental in building the
pretty
skate
freaking
park.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah,
Jesus
it was
Christ.
awesome. I lucked out because I skate. So I was, as a
Yeah.
kid, I was like, yeah, of course I'll do this.
Yeah, no brainer.
I wanted to be a skateboarder so bad, but I was just too fat and uncoordinated. So I was like the friend who would go to the skate parks but would just be roller skating instead.
Dude, so I rollerblade.
Hell
So
yeah.
I saw the movie Brink as a kid, and I was like, I'm one of these guys now, and
Yeah.
I threw my skateboard into the trash,
I
and
like
then
roller skating.
I
Blading.
rollerbladed.
What's the
yeah.
difference between the blade and the skate?
A rollerblade has firstly, it's in line,
Yeah.
and then there's a groove in between your center two wheels and a groove that runs along the side of your foot,
Yeah.
and you can grind rails on those.
Okay.
So
My
it's
dad
yeah,
loves
the-
skating.
the skates are more like you're on 4 wheels and you got to wear like short shorts and kind of.
Yes.
It's mostly about shaking your ass, right?
yeah, you can dance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the ones with like
Have you
those
seen?
are,
They
awesome.
take the front brake off and they do disco and they
Yeah.
dance.
Very cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is
I
very
went
cool.
to a roller rink one time. It's fun, man.
Dude.
I mean, I went over the rail a few times because I don't
Yeah.
know how to stop that good, but it's a good time. My dad loves rollerblading, so I was always watched him do it, and it truthfully never looked like something I wanted to do. It's weird when your dad is just really into like rollerblading around.
He just no hockey.
He
just
liked hockey a
rollerblading.
lot, but
Oh,
me
okay.
and my friends would stop going with him to the park because he would put us in the goal and rip shots on us.
Okay.
And one time he hit my friend Daniel Andre, hit him in the forehead. And I remember the kids gushing blood, and my dad's like, "You're gonna be fine." And he turns to me, he's like, "Start the car."
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad never had an off button with that stuff.
I love that.
I was just thinking recently because it was Halloween that there was one Halloween where he was upset that kids were taking so much candy.
Okay.
So he got a costume that looked really fake and sat at the bowl. And anytime they took more, he'd jump up. And one time, like, an older woman came and like tried to dump the whole bowl into her bag by herself. And my dad stood up, and she got so scared that she passed out and fell on the table.
That's iconic.
Nice.
Yeah.
An old woman was stealing candy?
I mean, old in the sense that she definitely shouldn't have been trick-or-treating by herself. She was like
Right.
40 years
She
old.
was like 11.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just clearly a
Wait,
teenager.
how long did you trick-or-treat till?
Still going out on Thursday.
Dude, I've trick or treated recently.
Really?
Yeah, I think like 2 years ago I trick or treated.
I found out my town does something called trunk-or-treat. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, trunk or treating is what most people in Utah do.
It's a mobile pedophilia.
Yeah,
You
it's
just
like the
open your trunk and give kids candy in like a lot. They all come to the parking lot in the high school in my town. You open your trunk. Everyone has different candy in the trunk.
Yeah.
It's the idea of giving it out of the trunk that is concerning.
Yeah, it's supposed to be safer.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I would like to go and show up in a van.
Yeah.
Like a creepy van, and
Yeah.
you're wearing short. They can't see your bottom half.
Yeah, right.
You're maybe topless on
You have a
top.
T-shirt on that says, "Is it really safer?"
No parents allowed written on the side of it. You got to come
Mustache.
in to get the candy, kids. Just making people very
It would
uncomfortable.
be very you can't lure a kid to a van anymore. The van would at least need Wi-Fi.
So the whole kind of basis of this podcast is that this is the first place Dan ever worked was this deli. This is where his dad
What?
worked.
That worked.
And so we kind of talked to people about, I don't want to say shitty first jobs, but their first job, something that they did to kind of make ends meet or like just to make some money as a kid. So did you have a first job that really stands out to you?
I mean, I have a few. I worked as like a ranch hand. That was like my first job as a kid.
Oh, so you are a man's man.
Yeah. Well, I
Well,
grew up in a tiny town,
Yeah.
tiny farming town that
In
was all
Utah?
like cows. Yeah. It's a town called Fillmore.
Yeah.
So it's a tiny, tiny, tiny population. And I even lived in a town outside of that town. So for me, Fillmore was like a to-do.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to the grocery store today. Oh, I'm going to see people. That's
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah, my aunt raised barrel racing horses.
Barrel racing.
Rodeo horses, and then our neighbor was a butcher, and I worked with him a lot, and he would have me like they have something in Fillmore called the meat pits.
The meat pits.
So everyone raises animals, and farm animals die or they're discarded bodies.
Yeah.
So this is the least vegan possible thing, by the way. And so people collect the animal carcasses and stuff, and then they dump them into this giant pit called the meat pits.
Yeah.
And then you have to it's kind of like a dump, but for bodies.
Wow.
And it's really gross. And I remember I used to go there and dump discarded animals.
That was one of your first jobs.
Yeah, yes. And I used to drive without a license when I was like 11 years old and do that.
Meat
and
pits. That sounds like a nickname that I was definitely called at a time
Yeah, right,
as a fat child.
I just remembered that was a really messed up thing I used to do as a kid. Yeah. And eventually I moved out of that town. And then my first teenage real job with
Wait, you can't just skip past the traumatic event as dumping animals in a pit. Does that not stay with you as a person? No?
I want to
Dude,
say
I
it
got- you,
traumatized me, but it didn't.
I crowd worked a guy. I was doing a show a few months ago in Bentonville, Arkansas, and I was crowd working a dude in the front row, and he worked for Tyson Chicken, and his job was actually the slaughter of the chickens. And I was like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I kill the chickens." And I'm like, "This doesn't stay with you?" He's like, "No, I hang up, the bell hits, you go home, and you live a life."
Yeah.
So, but you're a murderer for work. You didn't actually kill the
No,
animals.
I mean I grew up hunting and stuff,
Yeah.
but I never.
I shot a gun once in my life.
Yeah.
It was July 4th, 2 years ago. My uncle took me to a gun range. I shot 2 shoots, 2 little bullets, and I was like, I'm
Two
out.
shoots.
2 shoots and he's done.
2 shoots and done, yeah. I wish it was like pew pew. I have such sensitive ears, and it was like, rah!
Yeah. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I gotta be. It's not for me. Like
I wore American flag socks. I went into it ready.
I like that you're like my uncle took me. Like your uncle looked at you and was like, "You got to do this." You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
mean,
He's like, "I'm
when
gonna
I
make a
left-
man of you."
All I know is that I need a very strong woman if I ever settle down.
Yeah.
I need a woman who will handle shit when the world turns.
Okay.
I went to my buddy was he went to West Point, and when he came home, he was like, "Let's go to the shooting range," and I was like, "All right, like I'll try it, why not?" And we went, and it was indoor, and I don't know meters, but it couldn't have gone further than like 200 yards back. It was indoors, and there was a guy who had a sniper rifle. And every time I'm like, dude, people are picking off the back target with little fucking revolvers. You know what I mean? And you got a sniper rifle. Like, can you even see the target?
Would he have a scope
zoomed
on?
in on it already?
He might have been zeroing the gun.
What is that?
So the gun, when bullets fly, they actually don't just go straight; they curve.
Right.
Like a paintball. Have you ever shot a paintball gun or something and
Yeah.
watched it curve?
Right.
Or just like if you whip a baseball, how it arcs. So guns arc, and so when you're firing a gun over a very long distance, you want the scope to be point where the bullet will land.
Whoa.
But the bullet isn't going straight to the point on the scope. The bullet is arcing, so you zero the gun for a certain distance.
Oh, okay.
So you make the rifle good at like 400
Damn.
yards, and then you go hunting and you mark off your 400-yard point, and you try to be 400 yards back from the animal or person, whatever
I
you're
don't
up
think
to.
Hey, who amongst us? You know?
I saw an animal die when I was younger, and I was like, I don't think I could hunt.
Yeah.
We were playing football like every Thanksgiving. My family has like a big football game
Yeah.
at the little high school in New Jersey, Lacey Township High School. And I remember we must have been 10 years old, me and my cousins, and we see this guy, a bird lands by him, and he's like feeding the bird. And we're like, oh, look at that guy. He's feeding the bird.
Okay.
And then the bird takes off, and maybe 15 seconds later explodes. Completely explodes. Then he looks at us and he goes, that's what happens when you give a bird Alka-Seltzer.
Oh my god.
What?
And I've never forgot. I still hear the sound of the bird exploding.
You
The
gotta
bird,
get.
he just like a bird terrorist.
Yep, he
Yeah.
literally fed a bird Alka-Seltzer so it exploded, and then he turned to us and just went, Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah, that's like watch list. That's like watch list level shit. In my
That's the
opinion.
world's worst magician. Like he's just like, and I've done it. Everyone, that's the trick. The bird
Right, what if you all just
exploded.
were like
That's actually how a magician humanely kills his doves.
Dude.
That's his farewell send off.
He's just like, I have a bunny. You're like, I'm gonna go. Actually,
I am so not looking forward to this year's Thanksgiving football game. This isn't going to release by Thanksgiving probably, but I'm trying to find a way out of it, but we're not. Last year, my cousin broke his finger and needed an actual real surgery, like needed reconstructive finger surgery, and they still want to play again this year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
it's football.
it's a formality. Like none of you want to do it, but you kind of have to. It's
If
tradition.
it wasn't so cold in the morning, listen, I used to be a college athlete. In a life, I would have liked this.
what did you play?
Baseball.
Oh
As a
wow.
pitcher. So not really an athlete. I just stood on dirt and threw a ball.
I mean, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted, I guess. I don't know.
I played baseball as a kid. I was on the Western All Stars team.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So you were a good player.
I was a catcher, so
Okay,
I didn't
started
do a
as
lot.
a catcher.
Yeah.
It was, and then I got fat. My dad was like, "This probably isn't the right position for you." And then I went to the outfield. Then I settled on just throwing a baseball.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you play? Did you go to college?
No.
Lucky
So
you.
I
dropped out after a year.
I went to one semester of community college, and I didn't go to any classes. I just played rugby on the community college team, which was awesome.
That's an
And so
intense
I played
sport.
a season of rugby, college rugby technically, because the college community is so small. The college community teams play against big teams. We played against BYU on ESPN.
Really?
Yeah, it was wild. I remember
Wow.
being like, I have no experience. I'm just out here to like
you had
hit
a TV
somebody.
credit before you were a comic.
Yeah, it was wild. It was really
You
fun.
may have seen this guy in the whatever junior.
I was also like one of two white people on my team because it was
Yeah,
all
rep.
Samoan people.
Yeah.
In Utah, it's like white people, Samoan people, and Mexicans, and so all Samoans play rugby. And then they just had really had their way with me. Gotta say, I thought I would do better than I did.
Yeah. I just picture like a big small guy like literally picking you up.
Dude, very often, yes.
Yeah.
I was in the scrum, when they all hit each other. I was in the back of that.
You have lived like so many lives. I feel. I mean,
I like to
no
do
that
stuff.
case.
I'm not a say no guy.
Yeah.
I like to say yes to things. Also, I'm
I'm sit
sober,
and think
so-
guy and let the opportunity pass.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let me think this over and let it move on. Yeah.
that is you. Yeah, that's a good point.
Are
Love that
you a
about
college sport guy?
I didn't play anything. No.
No. You
I
look
like-
like you could be an athlete.
Oh, thank you. I played. I mean, growing up, my two sports were basketball and golf. And golf surprises no one.
Golf doesn't surprise me. Basketball doesn't surprise me much either.
I was
I
always
was
tall.
I would guess those.
Yeah.
Maybe tennis.
I mean, I know it's ridiculous to say. I wish I had played football. I wish like we'd played as kids because I just look at my friends who were like when they played football in high school, and as freshmen they came and we all looked the same, and by senior year they were gigantic. Like just
Yeah.
they.
Oh,
It's
so
not
you
even
wish
just
you
the-
took steroids.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, if I could turn back the hands of time, I would have done a cycle just to see what it was all about.
I did 1 year of high school football, and my own teammate gave me a concussion during practice on purpose.
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, I hate you," so I quit. And then he got cut from his NFL team this year. So,
Nice.
who wins?
Get
probably,
wrecked.
Everybody
probably
wins.
him still because he made it to the NFL.
Right.
and he had a lot of money. But also, that TBI is probably no good.
Yeah,
Well-
but does he have a podcast in the ground of a deli?
Exactly.
not.
That's what I'm
While
saying.
I sit here with a bad back, I didn't talk about that in the last episode. I pulled the shit out of my back this morning,
Doing
turning off the fan in the room.
college athlete style.
Yep. Yeah.
There you go.
I worked out too hard yesterday, and I woke up this morning feeling good. I was like, "That was a good workout." Raised my hand, pulled the light on, and literally as I pulled down that, dropped to my knees and went, "Ah!"
Yeah,
No.
405-pound deadlifts didn't do it, but,
Nope.
but that pesky little string.
And then I went to the chiropractor, did a nice little electric stim, a little ice. Then he went for the deep tissue massage with the back of his elbow,
so
right?
tough.
So he leans me on the side and he gets right where the spot is. And I'm not, this is a genuine truth. I went, yeehaw! I don't know why I made the sound. I do know that he legitimately stopped and said, "What the hell was that?" He was actually like upset that I made the noise.
Yeah.
He left the room shortly after. He's like, "I really don't know what that was." Like he got creeped out from it. I didn't realize it was a creepy thing.
Like you're able to throw dead animals into a hole and not take that home with you. This guy's at home tonight, like thinking about the yeehaw you said.
yeah, like why did it felt like the right thing to. I was in the South a few weeks ago. I don't know. It felt like the
Why
right
not,
thing to
man?
come out.
Yeah,
Try-
there you go.
you
Did
had
you
it-
yell? You went to the dentist this morning. Did you yell yeehaw there?
No, I cried silently. I hate the
Pretzel.
dentist.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? You got your wisdom teeth out or something
Yeah,
recently, right?
less than a week ago.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's remarkable because when
Both-
I got him out, I wasn't right for a while. Like I was in so much pain.
My cousin
And-
just became a dentist.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, but
Maybe he
were
can help
you-
your pain.
What's that?
Maybe
he
he can
should
help
have.
your
I know.
mouth
Well,
pain.
dude, it was brutal because it was like I didn't know what to. I was sitting in pain for like weeks, and they were like, "Well, the swelling should have subsided by now." And I was like, "Well, what do I do?" And they were like, "Have you been rinsing with salt water?" And I was like, "No." I did that. Immediately felt better.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, my body is perfectly adept at absorbing massive trauma. So I'm injured all the time. I go to the emergency room like twice a year usually.
Just for shit.
I do a
Just
lot
for
less
stuff.
than you, but I'm also often injured. I don't think I told the story on any of the episodes so far, but the worst injury I ever had was when I was playing ball in high school. Junior year, our right fielder and center fielder got into a bad collision, and the center fielder broke his jaw, had to be carted off the field, taken to
Oof.
the hospital. So I go to visit him the next day. No, I'm the starting pitcher on the team. We weren't even that close of friends, still aren't close friends. But I was like, I got to go visit him. So me and my catcher go. Me and my catcher and his dad and my dad, and we're sitting there. We're standing there in the hospital. 10 minutes go by. I pass out directly onto my face. Nothing stops me. I'm out cold. Pass out onto my face. I wake up in a pool of blood. They put me on a stretcher. They get me down. They do tests. My right part of my jaw broke through my ear canal and snapped. So I broke my jaw. So the doctor comes in and he goes, I don't know if you're the best friend or the worst friend, but you just broke your jaw visiting your friend with a broken jaw.
That's
And I remember being
Yeah.
like, we're not even that good of friends.
It is ridiculous.
I saw him in a supermarket 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. You would think if that happened with someone, you'd be like, "Oh, our jaws!"
Yeah, right.
And instead, we just ignored each other.
You're like two teenage girls with like the
Yeah.
heart medallion. You put them together and it creates a heart.
That was so
You
embarrassing.
guys have actually one functioning jaw when you connect them.
that was such a stupid.
I don't know
injury.
anyone else who's broken their jaw, so the fact that was the injury is so ridiculous.
Yeah, and the most embarrassing thing was my coach really needed me to pitch, and as high school coaches are, they sometimes do illegal things.
Yes.
So he found a way to get me a doctor's note so I could pitch.
There you
But it
go.
was the year of social media on Twitter, so the word had already gotten out. They called us the band of the Broken Jaw Brothers. So the opposing team knew I was actually hopped up on painkillers. So right away, the first batter bunts. And where I went to where I thought the ball was and where the ball actually was were two completely different areas
That's
of the
great.
field.
Okay.
I got taken out after I think 2 innings because I just was so doped up out there.
Yeah.
You just couldn't hang.
Radar gun was clocking you in. Your fastball was 23 miles an hour.
It's because I was actually just rolling in.
But I saw it on Instagram. You got your teeth out and then walked yourself home.
Yes, I did.
Was that premeditated that you were going to film that?
No. So I have I live 6 blocks from my dentist.
Okay.
So I walked to the dentist and was like, I'll text you when I'm done to my roommate. And he's like, cool. And then I went to the dentist. And then when I had left, I told him I was going to text him the day before. And he was asleep when I left. And then I assumed he would be awake. But in my dentist-addled brain, I was like, he was like, your guy's here with you? And I was like, yeah, he is. And then as soon as I walked out, I was like, I've escaped. I was just like, I've done it. And in my mind, I was like, I got away from the dentist.
Yeah.
And then I immediately went into this weird, like, I was like, I got to do comedy right now.
you were
And then
so
I was like,
mischievous.
it's like noon. And I was like, where do I go? And I started filming myself. By the way, I texted so many people. So I was just like walking a block, taking a break, texting people. I'm so glad my exes aren't in my phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would have been horrific.
I was watching it, and I, at the time I was like, I know this guy, I don't know him too well, but I almost was like, can I come help you? I was like concerned. I was like, I gotta make sure he gets home safe. I like watched to the end.
It took me like an hour to walk 6 blocks.
Oh my God.
You were taking like detours into like little stores.
Yeah, I was just like walking. I was like, this is my. I went to a local bodega and was trying to find a cat, and I tried to go down into their storeroom, and they were like, no, dude, you gotta come out. And I was like, oh, and they were like,
I would love to just watch the security footage available of this day, from the dentist to when you got home, like piecing together all that security footage.
Yeah.
Him trying to walk through aisles of stores.
Mr. Magoo just like traffic
I've
somehow
seen my
avoiding
cousins
you.
when they get it, because my family's bad and puts it all on video. Like
I hate that.
My cousin got his out a year after that gorilla Harambe was killed.
okay.
He had a full
R.I.P.
meltdown about it. He was yelling, like he's in the car and he's going, "They killed him! They killed!" And my uncle's going, "Who'd they kill?" And he goes, "Harambe!" And he starts. This is a year after. He's crying for Harambe after getting the wisdom
That's
teeth
great.
out.
See, it runs in the family. This is why you can't hang with the animal stuff.
Yep.
You really
Yeah, our
deeply
whole family
empathetic for
Right,
the
Right,
yeah,
in
animals.
his bones.
And then my cousin his brother was going on to become a dentist. Then he just graduated. Him and his girlfriend Allison both became dentists. And I think it's the best joke I've ever written. The name of their joint office should be "Tooth is better than one."
Wow. Okay.
They will
I
make
like it.
so much money.
Iconic.
The merch
Good.
they could sell.
My a good friend of mine got surgery, and when she came out, she was all messed up, and she had her friends visiting, and
Amputation.
yeah, exactly. No, not true.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and the nurse, Eileen came in and was like, "All right, like visiting time's over."
Wait, did you use Eileen specifically because I said amputation?
No, why is that a thing?
Eileen.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. No, her name was Eileen, and she was like, "All right, visiting time's over." And the girl, my friend, was so hopped up on drugs that she looks over and she goes, "Come on, Eileen," and starts singing the song.
I had an ex who loved that song.
It's a
If she
great
went to
song.
the jukebox, I always knew that's what was coming on.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So you did that. That was your first show. Gee, dude, I mean, like, to get to know you, like, and like, it's shocking to see how not to sound how sweet you are, like the life you've lived.
No,
you know what I mean, like,
I get that a lot, and
Yeah.
I will say that I
I'll
have
be
lots
honest,
of.
I never looked at you and thought you were a dick. Fuck Jack.
Well, I think that I look like a wild dude, maybe. Like a little bit of a scumbag, like Snake from The Simpsons, you know? I have those vibes.
You're not at all. It's funny because you have all the tattoos. You're not unapproachable because you have like such a disarming. You know, like you smile and it's like, but to see the tattoos and to hear about like your childhood and everything.
Did you grow
Yeah.
up Mormon?
No.
Okay.
No.
This wasn't
I'm
like a
Jewish,
rebellion.
but my family was like never religious.
Yeah.
Like so I grew up in like a Mormon place, but I was never religious.
Yeah.
I grew up really white trash.
Yeah.
And so it is, I mean, it's a very good compliment. I like that because I have brothers who aren't, what do I want to say here? They're crazy people. They're
Still white
Neanderthals.
trash?
Yeah, they're wildly white trash. Like they sell probably meth for a living.
Right.
You know,
If
they're
not fireworks.
yeah. So when you see like when I got out of a situation and then became a thing, and I'm like, oh, this is good. It's all by design. But I wasn't always like the best.
To the people listening to the podcast, if you're not watching it, Shayne has a lot of tattoos.
Yeah, I'm completely covered.
Yeah, I feel like I should
Your
have
whole
prefaced.
torso, everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like so, I have a mostly full. I have almost a full bodysuit except for some of my thighs, and then my face, throat, and stuff is covered. I have more.
I honestly like the throat the most. I think it's a cool one.
Oh, thanks,
It is
man.
really cool. That was the first. I think I said that to you the
Looks
first
like
time
you're
I
being
met
choked
you.
by like depression.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
mean, and
blueness.
how it feels all the time.
Yeah, I should get it removed. I think it would be a big relief. Were you? So, but you said you were kind of like, you weren't always this, the guy you are now. But did you start getting the tattoos when you were? When did the tattoos start?
Well, I started getting them as a teenager. I think I got my first tattoo when I was like 14 or something. I was very, very young. So I was one of those kids that was like 12 years old and had to quit smoking. Like
Yeah.
I was one of
Oh,
those.
so you
Like,
started everything young.
I got sober at 14. And when I say I got sober, I mean I literally had to like get sober.
Okay.
You know, so I was already like a grown man by the time I was 16. I was
Yeah.
like, you know, I was out like trying not to get girls pregnant and stealing and like trying to, you know, doing man stuff.
Right.
At
So-
14.
Yeah, yeah, and then like the school was the least of my worries. I was hanging out with like grown people, and like, you know, I was a criminal. I was a
Yeah.
bad person, and so over time, I was like, I gotta stop being shitty, and I got better. But I was always really nerdy, which was a saving grace.
Yeah.
So I was.
What is your big nerdum?
Mine
Mine is Harry Potter.
Mine's probably Warhammer,
Okay, I don't know what
which is a
Warhammer
deep nerd niche. But I also love Star Wars. Like I have Darth Vader on my hand.
Oh shit, that is.
So-
sick.
Yeah, you know
Did
what,
you
it's
see
cri-
Bill Burr in the new Star
Yes,
Wars?
that shit is
preview?
wild.
No, I didn't see it
Yeah,
yet.
he's
That's
in
hilarious.
it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a stormtrooper, right?
I think
never-
I think he's like a bounty hunter, but
The joke that got me the actual most death threats online was that I've never seen a single Star Wars movie before, but I know the joy of watching it will not outweigh the faces people make when I tell them that. And I got
Ah.
actual death threats from that.
Someone looked at that and said he shouldn't be breathing.
I know. I've never seen Star Wars before, but I got really into Harry Potter, like to the point that was going to be my first tattoo. It
Oh,
still will
nice.
be whenever I get one. But I
Okay, what are
backed
you
out of it,
going?
though. I don't
Dark
know. I
Mark?
had it all. No, I had one drawn up that was like the cliche Deathly Hollows.
Okay.
But then it had all of the different Horcruxes around the Deathly Hollows.
all right.
I don't want to do like the full basic one, but I would definitely go Harry Potter. I've been to the
you get
I've
something.
been
You get
Universal.
Something that, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I go there every year. Harry
you just
Potter
get
World.
something that makes you happy, right? Like
What do you have tattoos?
I have nothing. I don't think I would get. It's not that I just don't have anything that I feel like I need to have on me.
That's fair.
But then I look at, I'm like, that's so fucking cool. But the thing is, with how many you have, it's hard to like zone in on anything. And then when you're like, oh, I got Darth Vader, I was like, shit, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanna get
yeah.
a peace sign, but all of the things are joints, maybe.
What? Oh, okay.
maybe
I've
I'll do
seen
that.
that tattoo.
Oh, that exists?
Yeah. Oh, that
Shit.
exists.
Yeah, if you
man.
name it, I feel like he's
Weed
seen it. He's like seen
tattoos
it.
are
I
the-
Are
have
you
it.
telling me
Yeah,
weed
yeah.
tattoos actually
Yeah,
exist?
yeah, man. So I know tattoo artists that only do weed tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. There's like a whole weed tattoo community. I mean,
oh my god, you just
people
opened my.
are-
You know, the next time we go on this podcast, I'm gonna also have a neck tattoo.
He's like got
Just
an
weed.
exact. And he's got all of yours, but
just
it's
has
weed.
this weed version. 420 over his eyebrow.
I was honestly thinking 420, like an alarm clock in the middle of the forehead.
Whoa. Okay. There we go.
I know a few stoner buddies who are the full cliche who actually go outside and smoke at 420. And I'm like, this is worse than going to church, guys. You are believing in something worse.
Yeah, I knew a guy who smoked. This is funny though. Who smoked so much every single day, he and his buddies, that on 420, they were like, we could never possibly do more than we already do. So they took it as a holy day of obligation, and they didn't smoke.
Wow.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's how you have to do it.
That's
Is there
interesting.
something significant about 420?
I don't know. I don't
Or
know
is
what
it
it
is it a meme? Is it a joke?
I don't really
It's always been a
know.
thing.
The history of 420
There is a
eludes me.
specific reason to it that I have in a stoned rabbit hole Googled extensively.
Does it have to do with jaw?
I've forgotten it all in the sober mindset.
okay.
Yeah.
We got to get you
it
high so
became
that you'll
very
recall
big.
the memory.
I don't know why that became the big number 420.
You know,
Next year's a big one though because it's it'll be 4/20/20. It's gonna be Chicago's first legal year. I'm actually hoping that I'm gonna have a week of shows in Chicago for that week.
That'll be good.
Yeah, what a good place to be.
you are
Chicago's
you're
going legal.
the hero that the city needs for that week.
They
It's
do.
Chicago's Gotham.
Yeah.
Chicago's Gotham.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When they
Yeah.
filmed The Dark Knight, that's Chicago is
I
Gotham.
love me some Chicago, man.
There you
I
go.
I love Chicago so much that people here think I started comedy in Chicago.
Really?
Never. I love it with a passion.
I could see that. Yeah, it kind of.
Specifically Zanies. I mean, the club there, Zanies, is like my home away from home.
Yeah, you got a good relationship.
Like I
with
have
them.
like actual memorabilia of mine hangs in
nice.
the green room there, which I love so much.
I don't think I've ever been there.
It is one of the. I mean, I love almost every club I've ever worked. There are some that I've hated, and they are no longer exist.
Oh, okay.
One specifically was in a bowling alley in
Did you?
Staten Island.
That's ominous. Did you destroy
Yeah,
them?
right.
How does that?
Yeah, I think the economy did its own work. the guy's gambling addiction had other words. But
right.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It used to be next to a bowling alley, and if you like were bombing, you could actually hear the pins rattling.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've done some shows at bowling alleys. Not like club shows.
There's one in Washington, right? There's a club in Washington is in a bowling alley. It's weird that
Yeah.
became a thing. Bowling alley comedy clubs and hotel comedy clubs are huge.
I did a club in Washington that was a strip club.
Nice.
They shut down that part of the strip club for the comedy. but like, excuses, I just talk through a burp like a man, like a fucking man does. And then, ladies,
You could talk through a burp if you used to work at a meat pit.
Yeah, you make your own rules, man.
Yeah.
Like you know more
Dude,
about.
I will
Oh, did you see that burp? That was just the soul of an animal leaving.
Yeah.
and then it's I'm mostly vegan nowadays, but
Hell yeah.
what was I? Now I'm thinking about wrestling a horse.
Did you do that?
No, but I saw some YouTube videos of these guys that were breaking horses in like Mongolia, and it's breaking a horse isn't. It's not like Bane. You don't like attack the horse.
I thought that's how you
it's
get the glue out.
It's how you it's how you teach them
To the
to
blowhole.
let a human ride them.
Oh.
You know, so that they're docile, and so he's like grabs its neck, and then he like judo throws the horse, and then
Yikes.
he jumps up on the horse while it's on the ground, and the horse stands up, and then he rides the horse until it is like,
Holy
all right,
shit.
I guess you can ride me.
And that's the music video for Old Town Road.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much.
So anyway,
Yeah,
I was
Cyrus.
thinking that's the manliest shit
There's
I
a
could
UFC
think of.
fighter, Habib, who wrestled a bear. His father used to make him wrestle bears when he was younger.
Oh yeah, he's from that crazy place in Russia.
Yep.
Okay.
He lives with his parents, with his wife, because he doesn't want to live on their own when he leaves the country and have his wife on her own. He's a really backwards man.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I grew up very poor. Families do that. I remember thinking
Yeah,
like,
he's making
oh,
$1 million a fight, though.
yeah, but I mean, my fantasy would be to be so rich that my whole family can live with me in like one big place.
Yeah.
See, I don't mind that. And it's funny because like I have friends who will shit on me for saying that, but I grew up with the classic big Italian family that had a party for everything.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't until like I'm 24 now. It wasn't until this year where I was like, oh wait, it wasn't normal how close my family was. We were actually the abnormal family in how close we were.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. Like, my family's close, and me and my two brothers specifically. Like, we do conference calls all the time with the three of us because we just keep up with each other, but also we just do bits for like an hour and a half. And I tell people, and they're like, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, "Because we love each other." And they're like, "I hate my brother." I'm like, "How do you fucking?"
That's crazy to me.
I'm
I
an
love
only child.
I love all my brothers
I
and
love my
sisters.
brothers.
Yeah, my brother, one of my brothers is like my best friend.
Yeah.
Like we hang out online all the time. We play video games. When I go to visit, I stay with him and not my mom. Like,
Yeah. Well, and my one friend was like, "I hate my younger brother," and I'm like, "Well, that's kind of your fault. It's your job to mold him into someone you want to hang out with." You know
true.
what I mean?
Too
I
real.
don't know. I've hated some of my friends' younger brothers.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job molding them.
I was an only child, so I guess it just became naturally to get very close to cousins and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, cousins are as
And
good.
we grew up around the corner from each other, so it always worked out.
There you go.
Yeah. It was one that was my age and one Nick who was younger, so it was good to have one a little younger to bully. And
Right,
Nice.
everyone's gotta have someone to take their aggression out on. It's funny. My brother's like one of my brother's best friends. He didn't
Taking
have
everything.
siblings, so when he came over, like I was his younger brother to beat up. Like he would get it out on me. And,
You would just get beat up by your friend?
but he was like, yeah. I was like, Jesus, this guy needs his own younger brother.
when he was just over you, like, one day you'll understand this, Jack.
and now I'm like, I do. I get it.
Dude, I used to have a friend that he was an only child, and he used to do that. He would like do wrestling moves on me and stuff,
Yeah.
and I hated it.
It's the
I
worst.
didn't want to be his friend, but I grew up very poor, and so my mom would do that. Like, hey, you got to go to a friend's house tonight if you're trying to eat, and I'd be like, God damn it! All right, so I would hang out with him all the time, and he had Diablo on a computer. It was super tight, and then he had a Nintendo 64 with WrestleMania 2000, also super tight.
Hell yeah.
And then or SmackDown 2000, it was a black cartridge. It was great. That game ruled. But he's obsessed with wrestling, and he would just like beat me up. He would like hit me with a cane and like do wrestling moves on me. And I was a very
Let me show you this steel folding chair.
Yeah.
yeah,
right.
yeah. And I was like not a kid that didn't have a problem defending himself, but I was like, I can't. I wasn't like a big guy. I've never been like a physically imposing person. My big thing has always been that I'll stab you. And so I was like, I can't escalate. I can't escalate the violence to the point I need you to stop him from hitting me. And I can't just like brute strength my way to stop. So I just like take these beatings and think about Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He would just be like doing the lion tamer on me, and I'd be like, be cool to Chad because later you get to eat his cereal.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
But
his
of
name
course,
was Chad, too.
yeah, it was Chad.
And you said the kid who beat you up was an only child?
Yeah.
See, I don't think I beat the shit out of my friends, and I
Good
was an
on
only
you.
child.
The thing is, like, he's got to get that energy out somehow, and and it's like you might have been down for it maybe once every few weeks to like kind of fight back.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But when this kid's like all hopped up because he's got no one to do it to, and he comes over and he's ready, and you're like, dude, I already got older brothers beating the shit out of me. Like,
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
time for you, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta go back for a minute here. You're like,
the
I
stabbing?
stab people. That old gag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've all been.
I mean, when I was a kid, if people would I've never been like everyone I've ever hung out with is way scarier than I am.
Right.
Like by far. My
Yeah.
brothers, even my little brother's way scarier than me. All the dudes I grew up around were way scarier. So I was always like the guy that like was smaller and like if I couldn't just like defend myself. So I was like, well, you have to escalate the violence to a point where they aren't willing to take it in order to stop them. So yeah, I mean,
you guys
when I
want to
was
see scary?
I got,
Switchblade?
you know, I was expelled from school once for putting a pencil through someone's hand.
Through their hand?
Yeah,
like on purpose.
Like they were pretending like they were gonna slap me, and I grabbed their hand and then shoved a pencil through it, and it like
The
went
Joker.
through his finger to
Yeah.
the top. Yeah.
They
Want to see
based
a
that off
magic
of
trick?
you, right?
Yeah. Another time I got in trouble. There was this kid. This is a fucked up story that I probably shouldn't even tell, but I've already started. So
Yeah.
you know when I was in like pottery class in like 8th grade, 9th grade or something.
You guys ever hear of manslaughter?
And so you know you have like the pottery wheel or whatever.
Yeah.
And this kid came up and crushed what I was making, and I was like, "Fuck this kid, I hate him." So then he did it another time, and I was like, "All right." So then you know how they have like X-Acto knives that you
Yeah.
use in crafts? I put them into the clay,
Wow.
and then built it up.
God.
And then when he went to smash it, he shoved the knives into his hand.
I mean, that's just smart. I honestly thought you were gonna take his head and then pottery wheel his face. I thought you were gonna be
No.
like, I pottery wheeled
Yeah.
the kid's
I'm never
face.
strong enough to do cool stuff like
But
that.
how did you?
Cool
how,
stuff like that. You put a pencil through someone's hand.
That's pretty cool.
One
I mean,
time I
it
put a
doesn't-
pencil in my own hand, and I still have the gray lead in there.
The graphite.
I
Oh,
always
yeah.
thought I was going to become a superhero, but when I think about it, Lead Man doesn't sound that good.
No.
Yeah, he's got lead
I
poison.
kind
Yeah,
of I became Lead Man anyway.
He gets jaundice and dies.
Superman
I don't know
can't see through him.
Yeah,
so
I used
there's
to play
that.
that game like where you would do like the pencil between the fingers.
Yeah.
And I just somehow missed the finger so much that it's in the bottom of my palm.
In the palm. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Did you
That's
guys
my
ever
hand-eye coordination.
Play the similar game where you throw a knife as close as you can to your foot?
No, see, we used to play a game called Penny Ball where we'd put a penny in the cracks and we'd throw a ball at it and then we'd give each other points if we hit the penny.
That
It's a lot different than stabbing.
Yeah.
You've.
I'm joking. The only reason that game's in my head is because I remember thinking, like, sometimes it's hard talking to your grandparents. And then I asked my grandfather to show me a game he played when he was a kid, and he showed me that game, Penny Ball.
Yeah.
And I was like, that explains so much of your adult persona
Right.
of not being that creative. You threw a
Right.
ball at pennies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got to be honest with you. I love you, but I feel like we had very different childhoods.
Oh,
You're like-
yeah, yeah.
You're like, you guys ever play that game where your dad puts you against a wall and throws a tomahawk and tries to dodge you? No, he didn't do that one.
Yeah, I mean, my childhood is pretty messed up, to be
How are
perfectly
you
real.
so? What happened? I mean, how did things change? You're such a well-adjusted.
Well, I think the real question is how do you go from meat pit to comedy?
Yeah,
When
that's
do
a
you
good. I
find
want to know that.
stand-up? Like in Utah, you started because I know you started at Wise Guys, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. You know, when you're, I grew up around scary people, and then I was a criminal when I was young, like a professional criminal.
Yeah.
How many times you get arrested?
I've been arrested. I've been detained many times, arrested 0 times.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was good at it.
Good
And
numbers,
so,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, me and my brother both. My brother was arrested one time because he threw a.
Tomahawk.
He was trying to. So him and his friend, there's something called car hopping, where you go through a parking lot or a street and you try to open doors and you look to see if there's electronics, and if there are, you steal them, and then you fence the electronics later. So my brother's car hopping,
I
like
like that you guys have cute terms for theft.
in the middle of the day, and so he's going through and he sees like in this truck there's an iPod on the dash of the truck, and he's like, my iPod now, motherfucker. So he's with my friend and he grabs a brick. They find like a whole ass brick,
Oh,
and they're
God.
like, yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but a brick is a very good key. It gets you into
Yep.
really anywhere.
Yeah.
And so he throws the brick at the window of the truck and it just bounces off, and he's like, what the fuck? And then my friend, the guy at the time, I don't want to say his name, we'll say Ryan, he grabs the brick and then he throws it at the window and it just bounces off, and both of them are like, what is with this fucking invincible Optimus
Wow.
Prime truck?
Right.
And so they're taking turns literally smashing the window,
Right.
trying to get it out, and the window isn't breaking, and it took them so long that someone saw them and called the cops, and the cops arrested them.
And they
Right.
never
at
got
that
in.
point, At that
Hilarious.
point, like any of your your criminal prowess goes away because you're like, I gotta get through this thing.
Dude, so funny. We
Wait,
laughed.
so they never got in.
No,
They got caught
no,
trying to
they
get in.
never broke the window. We laughed.
my
Yeah. Anyway,
God.
so we made fun of them forever.
We had a
for
guy
that.
next door in my neighborhood. He robbed the house 2 houses down from us,
Mhm.
and he got caught because he left his wallet on their counter with his ID in it.
God.
They just
Weed.
went to his house and they were like, "Is this you?" And he goes, "Yeah." "Where'd you find it?" They're like, "You robbed a house."
He just got high, robbed a house, took his wallet out, chilling, making
Yeah,
food.
you know that's exactly what that means. He sat down in the house
Yeah.
because he took out his wallet.
But yeah, so I was always funny. That was my deal.
Yeah.
I like to make people laugh, hanging out with the boys.
I wonder why you might have
was
needed humor in your life.
the funny. It's also how you handle trauma and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Meat
then
pits.
yada yada yada. I stopped being a criminal. My life is
He really glazed over that
yeah.
part.
There's so much.
yeah, it's not enough time.
I stopped being a criminal around the age of 23, 24.
Wow.
And then I went over, went to Europe and did a bunch of stuff and like hung out overseas. And then I came back when I was like 26 and I was like, I got to do something with my life. Like I have no
So you
education.
spent 3 years in Europe.
Well, yeah.
That's
around
awesome.
two,
How old are you
around
now,
2
if you don't
years.
mind me asking?
I'm 32. I'll be
Okay.
33 in December.
Okay.
So I'm hanging out. I don't really know what to do. I have no education. I didn't graduate any school. I have all this debt. I have no credit. My face is tattooed. I can't get jobs. And I was just like, what do I do? So I ended up working at like this Center for Disabled Youth. The government like helped me get that job, and so did my mom. And so I worked with disabled kids for a really long time. And I didn't know what to do, and I was like, man, I'm miserable. I have like my life doesn't amount to anything. And the weird thing that people don't tell you about like crime or anything that's exciting is it's fulfilling. Like, yeah, being a bad person fucking sucks, but it's also wildly fulfilling to have friends who will do anything for you,
Yeah.
who have your back always, who care about you. When you wake up every day and you're like, what do I do today? Well, I have my friends back, and I take care of them, and we're going to get money. End of story.
Yeah,
I've
and
never
it's
been
thrilling,
talked
right?
into being a
Yeah.
criminal before. I'm like,
So-
sign me up.
Yeah,
friends.
so it really is very the relationships are meaningful. The work is intense and meaningful. Your craft is important. Like you have respect from people who other people fear. You know, like there's a lot to it. Women like you.
You should honestly write up a brochure. It'll sell people.
So you feel like you matter. And then you stop doing that, and now I live a normal life with normal friends, and they're not going to kill anyone for me. And I wake up in the morning, and I go to work
Hey,
for
you
people
don't
who
know how
don't
much
give
I
a
like
shit
you,
about me.
Shayne.
You know, and you work for people who don't give a shit about you at a regular job, and it's really unfulfilling, and you feel awful. You know, regular
Yeah.
life fucking sucks. It's depressing.
Yeah.
No one cares about
And
you. No
comedy
one
is not regular life.
yeah, you feel like people aren't going to help you. So I was like, I have no idea what to do, and I was like, I like being funny. I watched this is random a Nick Swartzen special, and I was like, I'm Jewish, I can fucking do that.
Yeah.
And so
Was it the one where he has
I
the?
like how it wasn't I'm funny, I could do that.
yeah, that's exactly my thought. I wrote some jokes down. I Googled it. I was like, I'll never be famous. I don't live in LA or New York. I'm in Utah. Then I found out. I saw someone on like Reddit was like, Joe Rogan says Wise Guys is one of the best clubs in the world. And I was like, fuck that. I'm not going to get down on myself. Wise Guys is one of the best clubs in the world. I could be famous. So I wrote my jokes down, and I went to my very first open mic with the express purpose of starting comedy as a career.
Yeah.
So before I ever put my foot on a stage, I was like, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is fucking
Okay.
happening.
I
Kind
had
of this.
I had the exact when I stepped foot on stage at 19. I had just blown out my arm, and I knew I was like, this is all I have.
Yeah.
This has to. This is what I'm doing.
I literally was like, I'm gonna succeed at comedy, or I'm gonna rob a bank. Those and like in my mind, I was like, it's comedy or like death. Like
yeah, mine was a
So-
little less intense. I was like, I'm gonna do comedy, or I'm gonna jump off a roof of a building.
And I'm being dramatic, obviously, but it felt like that.
I'm not.
Yeah. But it felt like I only had that option, or I was just
Yeah.
gonna be
I
miserable
think
for the
people
rest
who
of my
start
life.
comedy with kind of the metaphorical gun to their head
Yeah.
are the ones who learn to navigate, and just ultimately they seem to be the ones who have the experiences to be a little funnier.
Yeah.
Off the bat.
It's like
'Cause, I mean-
burning your ships, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because I
Exactly.
can imagine, like, with the stories you have, I assume that relatively quickly you probably found some success on stage.
I was bad for the first year, like everyone
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't open mic hero bad.
Yeah.
You know those people you see and you're like, oh shit, you're mentally ill as fuck,
Yeah,
dude.
you're like, you're not getting out of this. Mike.
yeah. Like the other day I went to a show and there was a guy that was a clown. He was a full clown.
Yeah.
He was doing like he had the horn. It was brutal. I was like, dude, no.
He stole my act.
Yeah, where are your parents, man?
Yeah.
Like who are your friends? Help.
Yeah.
Wow,
So-
so a full clown. Horn
Anyway-
and shoes.
What?
Shoes as well?
Ooh, I don't know. I didn't look at his shoes. I was more focused on his hands the whole time. I just didn't
Fair.
want him
You
to pull out
wanna-
a
yeah,
gun
you
and
wanna-
kill the host.
Right, right. Tell him.
And then he
yeah.
shoots it, but it's really just the flag that says bang.
Motherfucker.
This was recently, or this was?
This was recent. It was at a show in Astoria.
Ooh.
Anyway, so
He was probably inspired by the Joker movie, if anything.
That's what he's saying.
truthfully.
Yeah, exactly.
he wasn't that type of clown, which is almost scarier. Anyway, so I started comedy and I was like, I want to do this. I think I can do this, and I just stuck with it. I changed my work schedule so I could get to open mics. I did what I could so that I could do comedy. Ruined my marriage.
Here, huh?
yeah.
Oh, you did along the way.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh shit! So you were married?
Yeah, I was
Attaboy.
married. I've ruined 2 relationships over comedy, so.
I've had one.
Just one marriage, though, right?
Just one marriage, and then one girl who I was very in love with. And
When
then
did you marry her?
I married her when I was 28 years old.
Okay. And
So
how long did
a couple
were you,
years into comedy.
Yeah. And how long were you guys married?
We were married for, we were married well for a year, and then we were basically separated for a year.
Did she ever give you like an ultimatum?
No, she never did, but it kind of was just like she wasn't like doing well with the lifestyle the comedy had.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't blame people anymore.
No. She, to her credit, she was mostly great. It was just weird. There were lots of little things that I was like feeling about our relationship that weren't helping me do comedy, and I was kind of just like, I choose comedy over marriage.
Yeah.
And so I did. and
so much. I wonder how many relationships comedy has ruined as a whole.
Dude,
it's like the national debt ticker.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere there's a ticker in the billions.
a wild amount. The sucky thing about that, she was a waitress at the club I'm a regular
Oh,
or was
no.
a regular at. So that was
That's interesting though. That
brutal.
I mean, if anyone was, I'm not blaming her, but I'm saying if anyone was exposed to the life, like had an idea of what the lifestyle was beforehand.
In her defense, I started comedy after we were together.
Yeah,
Oh,
I always
okay.
say that's like that's an
That's
interesting
tough.
dynamic.
That's
Yeah.
tough.
That
So
is
she-
interesting.
And she's a sweetheart, so no harm, no foul on her.
because they need to get used to getting talked about on stage. Then, like now,
Yeah.
anytime you jump into a relationship, they just they're like, oh, I might be part of the act now.
And they've only
Yeah.
and it's like they've only known you as a comedian. I say that, it's a totally different thing. When you start with someone, they don't know any other you.
Yeah,
But when they've known you before, it's kind of like, wait, now you're going out every night, you know?
exactly. And it's like, oh, so you're hanging out, and you're like, no, this is a part of comedy. I have to
Right.
hang out with people, and they're
Yeah.
like, that doesn't seem like work. Can I go?
Yeah,
and you're like, but you're
actually
not funny.
describing describe like when you have to describe to someone who's not in comedy what it takes to be a comedian. You sound like an insane person. Like, yeah, I need to go here and I need to hang out. So you're gonna perform? Probably not. I'm just gonna hang out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm going to an open mic. Oh, so people will see only comedians. Will they laugh? No. And you're like,
yeah.
how is that beneficial? It's not.
Yeah.
But is it? Sort
Like
of.
the way you describe stand-up to like a partner automatically sounds like you're hiding cheating on them, but you're like, no, this is
Yeah.
actually just what I'm doing. I am hanging out somewhere and doing
Yeah.
nothing.
Also, they're like, so your friends are mean to you. And you're like, no, they're comics. We're joking. And they're like, they were talking about how you were molested as a kid on stage. And you're like, yeah, wasn't it funny? And they're like, no, what is wrong with
they
you?
either have access to that part of their
Yeah.
brain or they're lucky and they don't. You know what I
Exactly, exactly.
I like how you said lucky first.
mean? It's true. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. But that's like, but so fuck. What was I gonna ask you? So you
I'll let you
were
take
married.
This
Yeah, I think I'm having an aneurysm. You were married,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys are cool now, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're cool.
That's great then.
We weren't cool for a while, but now we're cool. So.
But that really is like you're demonstrating when you were like, it's this or robbing a bank. It's this or nothing. Like,
Yeah.
literally a marriage had to go away.
Yeah, no, and
You were-
totally. And
yeah.
in my relationship before, like, I was very in love with her. We were great together, and she was awesome. And I was just like, I have to move to New York.
Yeah.
And we're not going to work together in New York.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go.
It's not gonna get easier.
How long have you been here
Exactly.
for? If you
I've been here since February.
Okay, because I remember when we first met, that was a long time ago. You were just here for a day, I think. You hadn't fully moved here yet.
No, I drove here across the country to help my friend move here,
Nice.
and I was outside the Grizzly Pear. And I
Yeah.
met
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
GP, baby.
Yeah.
Man.
When
the
was
good
that?
old pair.
That was
February,
that
you
was a year and like 7 months ago or
How's the
something.
move
It was a
been?
while
Good?
ago. Dude, the move's been great. I'm
Yeah.
on the road so much that I haven't really done very
Yeah.
much New York. I don't get to the clubs very often. I perform when I can.
Well, being on, I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. Is
Yeah.
that's where our money is.
Yeah, but I'm hoping I purposefully have taken like a couple months more off. So November got busy out of nowhere. I'm filming a new special and all this other
congrats.
stuff, and I have a weekend, and then I'm doing like NACA or whatever.
Yeah.
But December, nothing. January, basically nothing, and I'm just gonna go to the city, hang out, meet people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird
Have you
to
ever
like.
bombed the NACA before?
Not yet.
Oh, I've bombed the NACA.
How
It's
was
so-
that?
It was at NACA, for the listeners, is what is that? The National Association of Campus Activities, the ones who booked college comics.
Yes.
Yeah, I had my fest. I was doing the NACA fest at Penn State, and it was the type of crowd where she was wonderful. Don't get me wrong, but the host of the event was a slam poet.
Oof.
And, the poem before she brought me up specifically was about a sexual assault that she had experienced.
Nice.
And she was the host, so she does a 5-minute poem about
That's
sexual
perfect.
assault.
Perfect for what
Yeah.
we're up to.
And then she brings me up, and it was one of those crowds where, like, you told the joke, and then the audience took it in, and then they looked at their friends to the left and right to see if they were laughing, and then they would nod, and then if they nodded, they would laugh. And it was just
so
such a
bad.
delay on the jokes. And honestly, I don't think it's actually a college thing, because I've done colleges that have been lovely.
Yeah.
I just think it's some colleges happen to be that shitty.
Oh, dude, I did a college thing recently in Jersey, and
Which college, baby?
It was
That's my
APCA.
hometown.
It was it was an APCA
Oh,
event.
okay.
And so they before I went up, this guy who's like, I was a finalist on The Voice, and he was famous enough that everyone was like, we know this guy. Yeah. And they were so into him, and then he went up and he did like these really too poppy songs, and I was like, following music sucks as a comic, but he's keeping the mood up.
Yeah.
We're dancing, people are in the crowd are like into it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, here we go, I'll do this. And then he's like, I would like to finish this with my award-winning rendition of Hallelujah.
Oh, no.
And then he did Hallelujah. Dude, there was a lady crying.
Yeah, I
She
mean-
was openly weeping. I was like, bitch, dry it up. I have to perform right now. Like, I can't be.
That's a hard thing to follow.
Oh,
The
dude,
only
he
thing you
was-
can do is offer them a one-way ticket to Chuckletown.
Dude,
Okay?
that guy was so good. Even I was like emotional. I'm just like, man, this is good. And then I have to go up and like shake it off. I'm like,
You're like
slapping myself.
you're crying. On
Yeah,
stage.
dude.
I would
And
have
then
been
I go
like,
up
keep it
and-
going for the corpse of Jeff Buckley. Tried to get a laugh on it. If it didn't, I would have crashed and burned.
Dude.
What do you do? Yeah, that's so weird. Like, do people not have a concept of what's ideal to have
It's-
a comedian?
It's random. So
Well,
they
those
just
conferences, they'll audition a lot of acts that are looking to work the college circuit, because there are people like the guy in The Voice. Like when I did my NACAs, there was musicians who had been on TV who just needed the college money because it's so good.
yeah.
I mean, who
It's
doesn't want a
jugglers, motivational speakers, people doing improv. There was like this improv
It's always
group.
fun going in between a motivational speaker. You're like, I'm him, but with jokes.
Dude, I know. There was an improv group at mine that only spoke Simlish. Do you know what that is?
No.
Simlish? Do
Is
you know
that
the
the
game,
word
the
of
video game
war?
The Sims?
Okay.
So they don't actually talk. They go like,
Yeah.
and so they spoke a fake language that wasn't real, and that's how they like communicated, and that was the bit.
Was it good?
No, it was terrible. I don't remember what comic said it. This
Oh
is
my
not my
God.
joke, but they said the only losers in improv are the audience. It's ugh.
Well,
That's great.
there's a question that I think you're not a criminal anymore, obviously.
No,
If
I
you
mean, I do
run
some
out of
crime here and
material,
there, but
if you run out of material, would you consider picking up the life again?
I mean, no.
Isn't that the sad thing as a comic? Like, there's always in the back of my head, like, when a situation's about to happen, and you
Yeah.
could go left or right. My first thought is, what happens left, what happens right, and how could I talk about it?
I don't think I would do. I mean, I do sketchy stuff. Like I've performed for motorcycle clubs, and
Oh, yeah.
so I'm still around
sketchy.
that
Yeah,
life.
peripherally.
I'm
like-
still, but yeah, I'm on the. I mean, you're never not.
Me and Jack did a
You're never
private
not
gig together last week.
completely out. So, and I've done like I've been in the occasional. Anyway, I'm not like I wouldn't do like crime. I wouldn't be robbing.
you
Is it
just
a
people
sort
live
of
on the
thing
like
edge.
that.
It's the sort of thing you could never really escape fully.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain, you grow up and your family is a certain way, and like you're a certain way, and you just white trash. Like there's only so much
I
you can
was
do.
white
It's just
trash,
like
but a different white trash. I
Cat
think.
Williams is a millionaire, but he brought a gun to the airport.
Right,
You never
yeah.
fully,
Yeah.
you never fully figure it out. Like, dude, the other day I was like, someone was like, "Why do you eat SpaghettiOs?" And because I was eating cold SpaghettiOs out of the can, which is something I've always
They're
done.
featured right here.
Delicious. You gotta have meatballs in them. But I was eating cold SpaghettiOs out of the can, and I was like
Sorry,
talking
not good
on
enough.
Instagram or something. Like, why are you eating SpaghettiOs? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I could just afford to eat out every night if I
Right, but
want.
it's in your DNA.
But it's
at
just
that
like
point.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't occur to me.
Right.
I have in the past, I would say 6 years, gone sledding using nothing but WD-40 and garbage bags.
Yeah, penguin
So,
style.
Yeah, so that's when I had the realization. When I thought about that, I was like, yeah, you're still a little white trash.
What do you mean? How do you do that?
You just take a garbage bag, you spray the bottom of it, and you just go down a hill and hope it works.
You take the best way to do this is you take the garbage bag and you put it over your head and you pop your arms and your head out of it.
Kinda
and
wear
then you
it.
Slide on your belly.
That's actually
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, it's really fun.
We did it in college. I went to school in East Rutherford, and it's right by the Giant Stadium. They have a lot of like salt hills or something.
Yeah.
And in the winter, those would get snow over them, so we would break in there and sled down them on the garbage bags. We almost got arrested for doing it.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. I don't like getting. When I was 17, I was arrested for selling weed. So like,
Okay.
anytime I get pulled over now, even though that was expunged, cops will still mess with me for that.
Yeah.
They'll,
They
like
can
I
still
think when they
tell.
run the license, it might pop up on there.
Nice.
I believe it.
I had one on the way to a show in I was driving to Chicago, and I was recording my new album, so I wanted to drive down there so I could help if they needed me to drive equipment around and shit. And I get pulled over in Indiana, and I had been smoking, and the car smelled, and I was playing Hendrix.
Okay.
And the cop rolls up, and I don't turn off the music, so he probably knows. And he does the most illegal thing. He goes, "It's too loud out here. Can you step out of the car and sit in mine so I could talk to you?" And in my head, I'm like, he's going to arrest me. But out loud, I'm like, yeah, of course, man. So I go and sit in there. He's like, "Why are you driving to Chicago?" I'm like, I'm a comic. You know, I'm going to record my new album. And he goes, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, man, police officers, comedians. People don't like us that much right now, man. Society's stuff on us. He's like, you know what, dude?
There you
You're
go.
right about that.
There
we
you
started
go.
talking. We talked for a half hour. He let me out of the car. I'm getting out of the car. He goes, "Dude, I used to sell weed in high school."
There
And
you
that was
go.
the last thing he said to me.
Wow.
Let me out.
Nice.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Total white privilege, I assume. But it was a fun story.
I'm asked to leave the car very often when I'm pulled over. So not like that.
Yeah,
like
not as-
I'm going to detain you for my safety and yours kind of thing, which is fine. I get it.
When's the last time you've gotten a new tattoo?
I got tattooed a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so it is you still ongoing with it?
Yeah, man. It's like I have so much left to do.
How much
that
real
doesn't feel like
Yeah.
but I do.
how much real estate do you have left on your body?
So major
Basically,
pieces.
just show us your dick.
Yeah. So major pieces I have
Weird
like
thing to yell in a deli.
I have the
He's right, though. He's right.
I have the sides and back of my thighs, my butt. Those are the only major pieces left, and I'm going to do all of them within the next year.
I'll get my
But I
gooch
have-
tattooed with you.
I have a
In honor
ton of little things. I have like this one piece on my side. I have a bunch of filler on my arm that I'm actually getting done next Monday. So I have little things here and there.
How cheesy would the peace sign be if I do it?
Not
That's pretty
cheesy. Firstly, that's an American tattoo classic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how cheesy would it be if I wanted a hot dog? It's like no,
Yeah,
these hot
it's like
dogs are
wearing
good for a reason.
White T-shirt and blue
And
jeans.
plus it's cool. I mean the peace sign. Peace is cool.
Yeah.
We need more people like you and less people like me.
Yeah, I'm just wearing one little piece necklace. You're like 36 tattoos.
Yeah, but I mean like, that you want the peace sign is cool.
This
I have the-
I've made this joke on this podcast before, but it very much is how this exists. This is more a sign. It's a reminder for me than it is a statement for people.
Have
I
you
like that.
seen the reverse? The reverse is the war symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that tattooed on me.
Nice.
So
We are really opposite. Hell yeah.
Yin and yang. What will you do the rest of your face
The
or
Yin
no?
Yang twins?
So, I used to only have like up onto my chin and the sides of my face, and then these letters. And then I did my first special, and I got these face tattoos. And I think every special I might get a new one. So I'm
I
doing
like
a special
that a lot.
November 23rd. So I might get up here in the corners of my head tattooed.
That's
We'll
cool.
see.
And then your last ever special is you get the last tattoo on the face that covers it all, and the specials are called Covered.
There you
Yeah.
go. I also might get something under my eye. What do you guys think? Up on the forehead or under the eye?
Well, would you do
If you
both like
continue to wear
corners?
the hair like that up there, I think if you put like a star in that corner, that would look so sweet.
Ooh,
yeah, that would be
yeah.
cool, right? Like where your part is.
I am growing my hair out, so
Yeah,
You can't do the other side would be like
yeah, because then it's too
Kind of a
much.
waste, right?
So yeah, I might get something like up in this corner.
I'm
That would be
thinking
cool.
first one forearm. Where do you think your
That's a
ideal
good.
first
That's a good
one is?
place. That's a good
Forearm?
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my first tattoo ever was my wrist. Most people go for the first tattoo. They go on their below the knee, or they go like shoulder to elbow somewhere.
How quickly till you got the second one?
I got my second one
Like
like
bit-
literally a week later.
So you were
Yeah,
bitten
you were
by the
hooked.
bug.
Yeah, and I was also like getting kitchen table tattoos from like I was I wanted tattoos for respect.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of bad tattoos.
I want to talk
Like,
about white trash. I had a cousin who built a tattoo gun. He took a BB gun somehow found a way to make the mechanics of it to where he could put a needle in the tip of it, and he literally made a homemade tattoo gun and would tattoo his friends, and some of them still have it. They're like really bad tattoos.
Yeah, I have a ton of those.
Yeah.
So they're they're prison tattoos, but it's not in prison, so you just call it a kitchen table tattoo with a homemade gun. You take like an actual pen and a rotary engine, and you have a needle, and it's like a single.
So we did have some similarities in youth.
No, totally, yeah. And so I got like a bunch of like this sleeve I've gotten twice because one version of it had a bunch of bad stuff in it, and then I got it covered. So I've had to get 3 sleeves technically, which is a lot. Yeah. But I had a bunch of bad tattoos, so
You're like a shirt and a tank top.
they'll do it.
Bam, a pun joke. I wish I could have closed on something stronger. You try to close on a strong joke.
Nah,
My back
I got
dude,
nothing.
my back. I like feel the scoliosis setting in.
Yeah.
Not really, but I just feel dead.
Here's what we do. We get a tramp stamp for you.
Yeah, it
Just
says
a weed leaf.
I thought it just says "Do not resuscitate."
It's a pretty good one.
Because I'm 100% gonna die very soon,
Oh, Jesus, stop that.
and I'm gonna
Stop
go
it.
down with SpaghettiOs and kimchi noodle soup. So Shayne, thank you for joining us in the aisle.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm a big fan of the aisle.
Big fan of the aisle.
Long-time fan.
A long time.
Long-time fan, first-time aisle sitter.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't. I'm not going to tell you to plug something specific because this is going to come out in December, I believe. But if you
Okay.
wanna just plug your website, maybe,
Yeah, ShayneSmithComedy.com.
and Twitter, Instagram. Shayne, what is it? Dozier? What is that? Is that your real last name?
SHAYDOZER. No, it's because I fucking share a name with the billionaire who started Vice magazine, Shayne Smith. So all the Shayne Smith stuff is
At least you
taken.
don't share a name with Gavin McGinnis.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah. So I I have to do other stuff. So Shaydozer, SHAYDOZER. Add me. That's
yeah.
also my PlayStation 4 name. So
Oh yeah,
let's
and
play
check
Call
out
of
his
Duty,
new
everybody.
Dry Bar
Yeah, exactly.
comedy special. One of the best Dry Bar specials out, and he's got a new one coming out.
Oh, thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
That's Jack Byram. Tell them hi, Jack.
Yeah, everything is Jack _ Byram. That's all I got.
That was such a weird plug. Everything's Jack. Hey.
Yeah,
It's all coming
all
up,
thing-
Jack, baby.
all things Jack
That's
Comedy
like when I was
Festival.
a kid, my nickname was Just Dan because my teacher said, "What's your nickname?" and I said Just Dan, and then it
Yeah.
stuck.
Got
And
it.
I'm Dan Lamorte. Everything is at Dan Lamorte, LAMORTE. It took me until this year to realize I don't say M the right way. People always think I say N, so I guess I still have a speech impediment.
M as in Mary.
I always have to say that. M as in marijuana.
M
All
as
right.
in Dozer.
Bye, guys. This has been In the Aisle.